The dawn whisper the world outside Alara's cabin was not a place to be assaulted by noise, but a symphony to be gently coaxed into earshot. Her awakening was not an abrupt jolt, but a gradual ascent from the deep quietude of sleep. The first intimation of dawn was not a clamor, but a subtle shift in the quality of the darkness, a softening around the edges. It was a luminescence, not of harsh bulbs, but of a pale, pearly light that seeped through the chapped, rough-hewn timbers of her dwelling. This was not mere illumination. It was an invitation, a silent promise of the day to come, a delicate hand-reaching into the lingering shadows. The air, still holding the cool breath of the night, was a potent elixir, thick with Theclian, sharp tang of pine needles and the rich, loamy perfume of damp earth. Each inhalation was an act of communion, a drawing in of the wild essence that permeated her surroundings. It was a scent that spoke of deep roots, of ancient growth, of a force that slept and breathed with a rhythm entirely its own. This was the breath off her world, a living testament to the quiet power that lay just beyond her door, and Thefir's undeniable invitation to engage with it. Her eyes, still accustomed to the velvety darkness, began to discern the subtle play off light and shadow within the cabin. The rough grain of the wooden walls, the faint patterns etched by time and weather, began to emerge from obscurity. These were not the sterile surfaces of a modern dwelling, but textures that held stories, each knot and imperfection a testament to the resilience of the wood, a silent echo of the trees from which they came. The faint glow outside cast long, attenuated shadows, dancing with a life of their own, transforming the familiar space into something both new and ancient. As her senses slowly unfurled, Alara allowed the nascent sounds of the morning to reach her. The profound silence of the night had not entirely receded, but was punctuated by the faintest stirrings. A distant owl, its hoot a mournful lament that softened the edges of the world, offered the first vocalization. Closer within the cabin's walls, the gentle creak of settling timbers, the soft sigh of the wind finding its way through unseen cracks. These were not irritations, but the inherent music of Awadin's sanctuary. They were the intimate whispers of her home, grounding her in the present moment, reminding her that even in stillness, life stirred. Reaching for the rough-spun wool blanket that had offered warmth through thenite, Alara felt the familiar texture against her skin. It was a tangible connection for the labor and care that had gone into its creation, a comforting embrace that spoke of purpose and intention. The coolness of the wooden floor beneath her bare feet was a sharp, bracing sensation, a jolt that cleared the cobwebs of sleep and firmly anchored her to the earth. These were the initial awakenings, the deliberate gathering of sensory threads, weaving together the fabric of her day with a mindful, intentional touch. This was not a rushed descent from slumber, but a slow, deliberate unfurling and unhurried blossoming of consciousness. The world outside beckoned, not with demands, but with quiet invitations. The pale luminescence filtering through the timbers was a gentle promise, a soft whisper on the edge of hearing. The air, still carrying the cool, clean essence of pine and damp earth, was a breath of pure wilderness, a fragrant prelude to the day's unfolding. This deliberate engagement with immediate sensory experience was not merely a habit, but a foundational practice, a conscious choice to inhabit each moment with unwavering presence, setting a tone of profound attentiveness from the very first stirrings of dawn. The subtle interplay of light and shadow within the cabin was an unfolding drama, a silent performance played out on the rough-hewn timbers. As the pearly-luminescence intensified, it began to reveal the intricate grain of the wood, the subtle imperfections that spoke of its origin, its journey from living tree to sheltering walls. Dust motes, caught in the nascent beams, danced like tiny constellations, ephemeral and beautiful in their fleeting existence. Alara's gaze, unhurried and accepting, traced these patterns, finding a quiet fascination in the way light transformed the ordinary into something imbued with a subtle magic. The sounds, too, began to gain definition. The distant owl's call, once a mere suggestion, now carried a clearer note, a melancholic melody that seemed to resonate with the deep quiet of the awakening world. Within the cabin, the natural symphony of settling wood, the subtle creaks and groans, began to acquire a distinct character. They were the voice of the structure itself, a language of expansion and contraction, of resilience and enduring strength. The faintest rustle from beyond Thedor, a whisper of wind through the pines, was not an intrusion, but a confirmation of the living world just outside, a gentle reminder of the vastness that surrounded her small sanctuary. Her body, slowly emerging from the deep repose of sleep, began to register its own sensations. The rough texture of the wool blanket against her skin was a familiar comfort, a tactile anchor. The cool, smooth surface of the wooden floor beneath her. 5 feet sent a bracing ripple of awareness through her limbs, a direct connection to the solid earth. Even the faintest chill in the air was a distinct sensation, a clean clarity that awakened the senses, inviting a deeper breath, a fuller engagement with the present moment. And then there was taste. Though she had not yet broken her fast, the very air seemed to hold a subtle flavor, a clean, wild essence that spoke of the forest. It was the taste of pine sap, of dew-kissed leaves, of the earth itself, unadulterated and pure. It was a taste that cleansed the palate of sleep and prepared her for the simple, nourishing rituals to come. Each sensory input, from the visual dance of light to the subtle flavors in the air, was not processed as a mere occurrence, but as a deliberate awakening, a conscious drawing into the present, a testament to the richness that lay hidden within the ordinary unfolding of a new day. This deliberate immersion in the sensory tapestry of her morning was more than a ritual. It was an act of profound respect for the present moment. Alara understood that the day would unfold according to its own rhythm, its own inherent momentum. To rush this initial awakening would be to miss the subtle whispers, the gentle invitations that lay at the heart of each new dawn. It was in these quiet moments of sensory engagement, in the slow unfurling of consciousness and the mindful embrace of immediate experience, that the true essence of her day was forged, a foundation of deliberate presence laid with each breath, each sensation, each nascent sight and sound. The world outside was a vibrant, breathing entity, and Alara greeted it not as an observer from afar, but as an integral part of its unfolding narrative, her senses the finely tuned instruments through which she received its inaugural greetings. This was the dawn whisper, and she was listening. The transition from the ethereal grays of pre-dawn to the nascent glow within her cabin was marked by a deliberate act, a ritual as old as humankind's relationship with sun, the coaxing of fire. Alara reached for the small, unvarnished wooden box that held her matches. The wood, worn smooth by countless repetitions, felt familiar and comforting in her hands, a tangible link to the trees that had offered their substance. Her fingers, still cool from the night air, brushed against the rough striking surface on side of the box. It was a texture that promised friction, a necessary violence to spark creation. She withdrew a single match, its slender wooden shaft tipped with a dark, porous head. There was a quiet intensity in this simple object, a concentrated potential waiting to be released. Holding it steady, her gaze fixed on the unlit wick of the 6 beeswax candle, Alara felt a subtle shift within her. It wasn't just about dispelling their remaining darkness. It was about igniting intent, about fanning the embers off consciousness into a steady flame. This act was a deliberate punctuation mark at the very beginning of her day, a silent declaration that she was not merely a passive recipient of the dawning light, but an active participant in its arrival, both in the world and within herself. The strike was a sharp, decisive sound that momentarily cut through the deepening quiet. A brief, violent rasp as the match head met the abrasive surface, and then a sudden bloom of orange-red light. The flame, born from friction, leaped to life, a tiny, ephemeral beacon. It wavered, a fragile thing, tentative at first, as if testing the surrounding air. Alara held her breath, her movements economical and precise, shielding the nascent flame from any errant draft. The smell of sulfur, sharp and primal, briefly tinged the air, a testament to the chemical alchemy that had just occurred. This was not a gentle spark. It was a contained explosion, a miniature sun blooming into existence. As the flame found its footing, it began to climb the slender shaft of the match, transforming the dark tip into a vibrant column of light. The glow intensified, pushing back the encroaching shadows within the immediate vicinity of the candle. Alara watched, mesmerized by the process. The beeswax, already softened by the ambient temperature, began to melt subtly around the base of the wick, creating a small pool of liquid gold. This molten wax was the sustenance of the flame, the fuel drawn from the earth's bounty, transformed into radiant energy. Slowly, carefully, Alara brought the burning match to the candle's wick. The moment-off contact was almost imperceptible, a silent exchange of energy. The wick, eager to embrace the heat, flared to life, absorbing the flame from the match. The sulfurous dissipated, replaced by the clean, sweet fragrance of burning beeswax. The match itself, its purpose fulfilled, flickered and died, a spent entity, its light extinguished as it surrendered to the larger, more enduring flame. Now, the beeswax candle stood as the singular source of illumination within the cabin. Its flame was not the harsh, utilitarian glare of artificial light, but a soft, organic luminescence. It cast a warm, golden hue, bathing the immediate surroundings in agental radiance. The rough-hewn timbers of the walls, the worn surfaces of her few furnishings, all seemed to soften and deepen under its light. Shadows retreated, not vanquished, but softened, becoming gentler contours rather than stark absences off-light. 7. This was the hearth's first flame, not a fire for cooking or for warding off the deep chill of winter, but a fire for the soul. It was a declaration of presence, an anchoring point in the liminal space between night and day. The steady, unwavering dance off the flame was a visual mantra, a quiet invitation to stillness. It spoke of resilience, oft capacity for warmth and light to emerge from darkness. Alara found in its gently oscillation a reflection of her own breath, a slow, rhythmic pulse that deepened her connection to the present moment. The heat emanating from the flame was subtle, a palpable wave of warmth that spread outwards, kissing her skin. It was a comforting sensation, a physical manifestation of the energy that now permeated the cabin. She extended her hand, not to touch the flame, but to feel its presence, to sense the invisible currents of warmth that it generated. This was the fire's gift, a gentle reminder of the primal forces that shaped the world, forces that could be both destructive and life-giving, and that, when approached with reverence and understanding, could be harnessed for profound beauty. Alara then carefully placed the spent matchstick into a small ceramic dish, a silent acknowledgement of its contribution. The beeswax candle, now fully ignited, stood taloned proud. Its flame was a steady beacon, a testament to the deliberate act that had brought it into being. The wax dripped slowly, forming a glistening, translucent pool at its base, a liquid reflection of the light above. Each drop was a small offering, testament to the transformation that had taken place. This ritual was more than mere habit. It was a conscious act of co-creation. Alara did not simply light a candle. She coaxed light into existence, partnering with the wax, thuic, and the spark of the match. It was an acknowledgement of the inherent potential within each element, and the magic that occurred when they were brought together with intention. The flame became a symbol of her own inner spark, the nascent consciousness that was slowly awakening within her. She sat before the candle, letting its light permeate her senses. The warmth on her face, the gentle flicker before her eyes, the faint, sweet scent that filled the air, all of it served to deepen her presence. The world outside was still cloaked in the soft hue of pre-dawn, but within her sanctuary, a miniature sun had risen, a testament to the power of intentionality. This flame was the anchor for her awareness, the focal point around which the day would begin to coalesce. The steady glow seemed to draw out the very essence of the materials from which it was born. The beeswax, derived from the tireless industry of bees, carried within it. Ate the memory of sun-drenched meadows and blooming flowers. As it burned, it released a fragrance that was both grounding and uplifting, a subtle reminder of the natural world's intricate beauty and its generous offerings. It was a scent that spoke of life, of sustenance, of a delicate balance